Thank you so much for having me.
Not at all. Now, between our two countries over the centuries, we've exported many things to you and you've exported many things to us. And I always think when it comes to trends and food and all the things we do, America generally does things first and we do things second. But a recent export from the United Kingdom to America is a young couple.
Okay.
They were part of the royal family. They were their Royal Highnesses. They're now just the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. And we've exported them, Candace, to you. And they're living happily on the west coast of America. And it would seem that after the quite shock cancer diagnosis of the King, that Harry only spent 24 hours in the country, a half-hour meeting.
Stop it.
With his dad, no reconciliation with his brother, and he's coming back to you in America. Are you pleased to see him return?
We are not pleased to see him return. We certainly were not pleased to see him here at all. I was very content with them being put in Canada, but I obviously knew that they would end up in LA because that was Meghan's dream. Her dream was to be an A-lister, and she was unable to make it to those A-list parties.
Wait for it.
On the basis of her own merit as an actress. You know, she wasn't a very good actress, and so she figured out how to maneuver that by marrying a prince who, the only way to say it is, he's just not as intelligent as her. He's not reading the situation as clearly as other people are reading it, and he has been subjected to her manipulation. And I do also want to say this because it's really important of why their story became so big. And
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
You know, her using the Black Lives Matter movement, which was very big at that time before people started to understood that really what they were advocating for were Marxist principles. It's why she became the princess of BLM, because, you know, what's one of the biggest principles of Marxism?
Stop it.
The breakdown of family. Black Lives Matter on their charter stated that they wanted to deconstruct the nuclear family. Well, Meghan Markle wanted to deconstruct a family, right? And she was going to pretend that it was for something noble, racism. It wasn't so. It was really because she wanted fame and she wanted wealth. And, you know, I don't want to say that Prince Harry was an unwitting participant. I think he obviously is not as smart as her, but also he liked the fame and he liked the attention in a certain way as well. And we had a very, very, very sad circumstance that played out here. So I'm not entirely shocked that he didn't spend that much time with his father. I have not been holding my breath for them to unify as a family, because some of the things that were done, you know, quite literally selling your family for profit, it's unheard of. But it's a Marxist belief that there's something more noble. There's something that the state wants you to believe in that's more noble. And in that circumstance, it's racism must be fought.
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
But in reality, what's buried underneath is a state incentive to make people disloyal to the people that they should be the most loyal to. So no sympathy for Prince Harry, but a lot of sympathy for King Charles.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult for the Queen to forgive him. It's very difficult for William and Kate to forgive him, given the awful things he wrote about them in that book, Spare. I guess if he was to apologise, then forgiveness might follow. And there were certainly some in this country, Candace, hoping for reconciliation.
Stop it.
But, you know, your thesis is that basically she's using him. She's using the fact that he's a British prince, and it's all about her. Now, what I'm interested in, is it just about money? Because they appear to have been paid a lot of money, in many cases for not producing very much content. Is it just about money and fame? Or do you think, Candace Owens, that somewhere within Meghan there are political ambitions?
Very good question.
I actually don't believe that there are any political ambitions there, mostly because she's simply not well liked, right? And she's not a very good actress. I saw right through it from the very beginning when she was pretending she was going to stay in the royal family.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
I was the first commentator that said, this woman is going to make it back to Los Angeles. I just saw her coming. So she's not that shrewd. And unfortunately, right now, that sort of politicking is not finding a home in America. We don't want bad faith actors. We don't want a bunch of people that are going to opine about racism and sexism and misogyny. We want people that are being honest about the fact that we have a lot of issues in this country, and we're not going to beat them by hating one another. And so she's not a perfect fit. Like I said, she caught a moment, and there was very much a government incentive to cause so much division with BLM, but she's not going to run in politics. She's very happy where she is, in a multi-million-dollar mansion, lunching with Oprah. That was her dream, and she got it.
No, you may be right. I mean, I must admit, I'd always thought there was a political ambition, but maybe you're right. And yet, you know, when it comes to whichever company they work with, Netflix, whoever it is, they've been paid all these large sums of money to produce little content or a load of rubbish. At what point does Los Angeles wake up and say, you know,
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
what? These guys are no good.
I think that's starting to happen now. I mean, the executive over at Spotify pretty much said that these are a bunch of lazy people with bad ideas that feel entitled to money. It's the ultimate entitlement, is what you're taking a look at. And I don't know if any person listening to this program actually took the time to listen to the podcast that she produced on Spotify. I did. It was a source of great humor for me, and I played some of those tidbits on the show. It's weird. It's raspy. It's her talking about her dreams, talking about, you know, the patriarchy and feminism and just all of the buzzwords that get you invited to the right parties in LA. But there's no substance behind it. And as I said, the reason why it failed is because people want authenticity. And unfortunately, they aren't getting that from this couple anymore. You know, so they're just going to keep being shuffled from award show to award show, given awards for basically doing absolutely nothing but acquiescing to a government narrative. It's quite pathetic, and it's sad because Harry was so well liked. You know, he was kind of like the bad boy prince. People liked him because he seemed so authentic, and now
he was loved.
He really was.
Yeah,
he was. I loved him.
He was the good looking. He was good-looking. He was... Oh, my God! He was charming. He did his tours in Afghanistan. He was in the front line. He was fun. He had lots of pretty girlfriends. He'd go down to the pub. He'd do things he'd do things, Candace, that most young lads... Are you serious? Either do or would like to do. I think, actually, and I remember asking my daughters when they were teenagers, early teenagers, what they thought of the royal family. And they both said, oh, the royal family, it's so cool. Oh, my God! Now, I'd never thought of the royal family as cool, but Harry did make it cool, didn't he?
He did make it cool. And then all of that went away, and he became very whiny, and he went the way of what we call modern psychotherapy, where therapists sit across from you and tell you that every little thing that ever happened to you makes you a special victim, and no matter how horrendous you act, once you receive that status of victimhood, everyone must understand. And that was the thing for me that I thought was just so disgusting, was, you know, utilizing Princess Diana, someone who was very well loved in America, and pretending that you were speaking for her from the grave, which is something that Meghan Markle did. You know, this Freudian transfer of, I'm now Princess Diana and I must be saved. What is he doing? It's sickening and manipulative. And her reasons for doing that was she thought that it would reserve her as untouchable, as if any person with a brain believes that what Princess Diana would have wanted was,
wait for it,
for her two sons not to be speaking. What Princess Diana would have wanted was for her granddaughter, Charlotte, to be placed in a book for millions of dollars, right? She threw a temper tantrum and upset Meghan, and Meghan cried in a heap on the floor. It was just written in spare, throwing your niece under the bus. Let's just dissolve that illusion that Princess Diana would have been okay with that, because she would not have been okay with any of that.
No, of course not. No, of course not. Of course not.
I actually told you guys last week what was going to happen, because Meghan Markle is just the most predictable person in the entire world. She's very predictable. I knew,
wait for it,
throughout their entire relationship, because I do believe that she is an emotionally abusive person, that she is embarking on Freudian transfer. She is using a real childhood trauma that Prince Harry suffered from, losing his mother, and she has used it to further harness him to her and their relationship. She has convinced him, he actually believes that Meghan Markle is Princess Diana. Okay? So in case you missed it, the documentary, it turns out Meghan Markle is Princess Diana. That's what she wants you guys to know. She is Princess Diana. And fortunately for Prince Harry, this time he got to save his mom. I mean, how sick is that? Me even saying that, it sounds so sick, but this is actually what is taking place. So here are some quotes of what he said and the reason why he responds to Meghan Markle's compassion and, quote, warmth is because it's just like his late mother. This is from Prince Harry. Quote, so much of what Meghan is and how she is so similar to my mom. She has the same compassion. She has the same empathy.
Oh my God!
She has the same confidence. She has this warmth about her. That is disturbing on so many levels. It's disturbing because this is something that I didn't want to be right about, but it was so obvious. And it was one quotation that she had given a while ago where she said that
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
she was, I think she was about 7 months pregnant, and this is when they were still within the royal family. And she said that she told him that she was going to kill herself, but she wasn't going to do it. But she knew, like, while he was gone, he was at some event and he got home and she said, I was going to kill myself, but I didn't do it because I didn't want you to suffer the same thing that you suffered with your mom. She actually came out and said that she said this to him. So I'm picturing a woman that is 7 months pregnant with somebody's child and saying, I was just about to kill myself, but I know what you went through with your mom and I didn't want you to suffer again.
Are you serious?
And that obviously triggered, because it's so emotionally abusive, it triggered Prince Harry, and that became the reason that they left the royal family. And any person, as somebody tweeted, or actually earlier today, they said, I don't see how any person can watch this documentary and not feel extreme compassion for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. And I don't understand, if you don't feel compassion, you have a heart of stone. I'm paraphrasing, but that was essentially the tweet. And I have tremendous compassion. I have tremendous compassion for any person that is in an emotionally abusive relationship, so emotionally abusive that they have successfully isolated you from your entire family. It's not normal. There is no relationship that you should be in that should isolate you from your entire family, okay? And the fact that he is in one, that she is convincing him that their extreme gaslighting of the world is not taking place. Remember, they left, they issued statements, and they did interviews all about the pursuit of their own privacy. That's all they ever wanted. What extreme gaslighting that,
Wait for it.
everything that they have done since they left has been public. You do not pursue your privacy with Oprah. It's just not how you do it. You just don't do it in a sit-down interview with Oprah. And I would believe that truly they just wanted to help people by sharing their story if they weren't being paid $100 million to do it. Right? If they were just about wanting to share their story, they'd be going around and doing charity and speaking to people that are dealing with issues and
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
forms of emotional abuse within their own families. They are doing this for money while gaslighting you and trying to convince you that they're doing it because they have a heart and they have compassion. The only person that you should feel bad for in this story, and allow me to remind you that he also lost his mother, is Prince William, because what his brother is doing is so twisted. And again, I don't think he's doing it to be evil. I believe the person that is behind this, perpetuating this, is Meghan Markle. She is smarter than him. She is more conniving than him. And he just cannot see the writing that is on the wall. He cannot see that when you lose all of your friends and all of your family and you're ushered to America in Hollywood with a D-list actress, it is because you are under the spell of a witch. I do believe that she is a witch and she has cast a spell. And the person that is suffering is Prince William.
Fact.
Breaking tonight in a major world exclusive interview with GB News star Nigel Farage, Donald Trump has tackled every big issue in international politics. And speaking from Scotland, the former US president who is running for the Republican nomination has slammed the troubled and scandal-plagued ex-First Minister of Scotland, Scheming Sturgeon, for damaging her nation. Trump weighed in on the shocking case of double rapist Isla Bryson, who exposed the failing SNP's sick gender reform bill after he was sent to a women's prison. Watch.
Well, I think a lot of countries have had enough of it, what's going on. And I know that case, and I thought it was terrible. And I guess it helped ruin her career. I think she had other reasons also. But I just felt she didn't love Scotland. Well, they just said, I just walked by and there was a big crowd for a wedding, a beautiful wedding, incredible people. And they were not happy with the people that were running Scotland, let's put it that way. They said, run for Run for First Minister, sir. Run for First Minister.
That doesn't make sense.
One of about 20 massive scoops from that fascinating sit-down. So to react now, I'm delighted to be joined by the man behind the extraordinary exclusive interview, Nigel Farage, live from Scotland. And also senior advisor to Trump's presidential campaign, Jason Miller. So look, Nigel, we've got lots to unpick here, but can we start with Scotland? Because obviously this is a huge scandal, what's going on in Scotland at the moment. Most of the mainstream media in the UK seem to want to ignore what's going on. So it's very significant, isn't it, to see Trump talking in this way about the failed regime of Nicola Sturgeon.
Well, look, I mean, 3 weeks ago we had Sleepy Joe spending 4 days in Ireland because his great-great-grandparents left there in 1840. But hey, I'm Irish, despite the fact Biden's an English name and he's got relations in Surrey. Donald Trump has a lot more Scotland in him than Joe Biden has Ireland in him.
Fact.
He clearly admired and loved his mother, Mary McLeod, hugely. She was a West Coaster, of course, Western Isles. And that was why Turnberry was the most appropriate place, I thought, to meet him.
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
He cares a lot about Scotland. This is the first American president, possibly in decades, that really cares about the relationship with the UK. And it's there within him at an emotional level. Make no mistake about any of that.
So that was a lie.
I thought what he said about Sturgeon was interesting. Basically, what he's saying is that her actions were against the interests of Scotland.
Okay.
That Scotland became a place that rather than put money into, people took money out of. That was said with great, great passion. He was fairly neutral about the new First Minister, but then he doesn't really know him very well. I did remind him of one or two of the quotes. But no, I thought the stuff he said on Scotland was very powerful, very interesting. And let me tell you.
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
This Turnberry Hotel, Golf and Spa Complex, in the height of season, employs 500 well-paid people. Without it, goodness knows where this coastline would be. So, this is really important stuff.
Okay.
And the idea that a First Minister wouldn't encourage someone like Donald Trump to invest, rather want to have a fight with him the whole time, I thought he highlighted that pretty well.
I know, it's a brilliant hotel, Turnberry. And Jason Miller.
So that was a lie.
You can see Trump's passion for the nation, but it is shocking when you think Sturgeon never made any attempt to build a relationship with him because of his politics, despite the huge investment he makes into Scotland.
Wait for it. Here it comes.
No, John, you're exactly right. And we have a phrase here in the U.S. that everything woke turns to, well, I'll say rubbish so Ofcom doesn't smack down our good friends at GB News. But what I was really struck by is not just the kinship between President Trump and Nigel, which was just a great thing to watch unfold on camera.
Okay.
But the affinity that President Trump has for not just Scotland and England, but the UK overall. And if you live in the UK and you're concerned about the relationship with the US, if you're concerned about the safety and the need to work together to deter those who are threatening both the UK and the US, then President Trump showed that the relationship between the two countries will get much better if he's back in the White House.
Well, indeed, because Trump also gave us a reminder of the special relationship that could have been as he directed very warm words towards the former Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. Watch.
I liked him so much, I still like him, but he really went a little bit on the liberal side. I mean, he all of a sudden became an environmentalist, and I'm talking about probably in a negative way, too much.
I said, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Look, we all want to protect the environment. Nobody does more than I do. I do a lot of jobs. Look at this. This was done environmentally so incredible. Turnberry, Aberdeen. But something happened. He changed.
What?
And a wonderful guy. He's a friend of mine.
Mm.
So, Nigel, he didn't rule out a possibility of a Boris comeback later on in the interview, did he?
No, No, he didn't. But I mean, come on, let's be realistic, Dan. Whatever you and I may think of Rishi Sunak and his Blairite spin, the one thing he's brought to the Conservative Party is stability over the total and absolute chaos of Boris Johnson. And maybe you and I don't quite see eye to eye.
No, I don't agree with that. But yes, I understand where you're coming from.
But what I really got there was the sense of disappointment that Boris had become the inheritor of the Brexit legacy.
What?
And hey, I'd made his life pretty easy. You know, I'd helped him in many ways.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think Boris would have
Which Trump gave you credit for tonight.
Yeah, no. I mean, look, you know, if I hadn't got rid of Mrs. May with the Brexit Party, Boris would never have been PM.
What do you mean by that?
But I think what Trump feels is what I feel, that they had this 80-seat majority. The first time in almost 40 years, there was an opportunity to really be conservative, to really be radical, to really change things. And Boris blew it. And, you know, Trump said how disappointed he was in that sense with this move towards the green agenda. But the most telling part on the Conservatives was Trump said they'd moved to the far left.
Yeah.
Now,
which on some things they have. Come on. Net zero or nut zero, maybe, as we should call it.
But my belief with these interviews is the public are bored with one-on-one punch-ups. What is more interesting is to hear what people actually have to say, to let them speak. And whether that's Donald Trump or a bunch of lunatics that want to disrupt the Grand National, I try and let people have their own say. Now,
well, you did.
Maybe.
Because you weren't trying to trip him up all the time.
Okay.
No, I wanted to hear what he had to say about things. I disagree with him on the emphasis on the stolen election and other things like that. But maybe far left is a bit over the top.
So that was a lie.
But truth is, this is the least conservative government we've ever had in the history of our nation. And we're faced with a choice between two forms of social democracy. And I said to him, maybe 13 years in power is too long. He said, no.
Why? Why?
Not necessarily if they'd stayed true to being conservative.
Well, I actually thought that was a really good point.